based on that they are just informing that person, please don't put your feet near to that, and don't touch from your feet their pots and all. So because it's all related to their religious and this thing. And then he asked that whether are you guys having the same jati. Then they have told that no, we are not having the same jati, we are actually we don't have any jati. Okay, on this yatra we are having a like a pilgrim. So that's there is no jati on that. Okay, so they had told him like that. Okay, and then I said, I mean Dharamjal ji said, did you go to Madras? Did you go to Bombay? Yes, we passed through those places. Did you see anything there? No, we did not have any time. It went on like that. I mentioned various important places of modern India. They had passed through most, but not uh, cared to visit any. Then I said, you are going to Delhi now? Yes. You will stop in India? Stop in Delhi? No, we only have to change train there. We are going to Haridwar. So I said, this is the capital of free India. Don't you see it? I meant it. I was not joking. They said, no, we don't have time. Maybe some other day. Don't now, not now. We have to go to Haridwar and then we have to get back home. So because like Dharampal was not knowing about that India freedom and all that time, because he was just going through the books. So he told them that you must have visited in Delhi, so that you can feel that free India that time. But they have told, no, we don't have time enough, so we will proceed from Delhi to Haridwar so that we can reach our home timely. So then later then he talked for perhaps 5 to 6 hours with them people. At the end of it began to wonder who is going to look after his India, how is going to look after this India. Then what India are we talking about? This India, the glories of India of modern age, built by Jawaharlal Nehru and other people. The certain temple, universities, place of scholarships, from whom are we building them? Those peoples on their pilgrims were not interested in any of this, and they were representatives of India, more representative of India than Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru even was, and I and most of us could ever be. The encounters shocked Dharampal then, as much as the memory of his brother him even today. And this particular experience, more than any other, drove him to look for the cause of the profound alienations of Indians, even new leaders from the preoccupations of the common person, and to investigate whether this had always been so. Similarly fascinating by the largely intact and functioning Bivas and Shashan's village communities. He wished to know what it was that had kept these aspects of Indian civilization so far alive and ticking. He assumed that if the basic of these heterogeneous various communities were understood, I might assist Indian society, particularly its intellectuals and political leaders, to divest itself of its present state of depressions and disinterest with the surroundings, and perhaps become lively again. The inquiry that had to focus on how Indian had functioned before the onset of the delineations, British and European dominance. When he began, he had no clear direction in which to look. even after he had found that he was looking for an utter significantly on its own drawn his own later. So in that he just want to explore how the peoples of that community will think about that India and after freedom and all. So because they are not bothering about the present leaders and all other peoples out there, so we want to find out whether in this kind of community if he can do a little bit more research, and he can by that research he can give that things to our intellectuals and political leaders, so that they will come from some depression and disinterest whatever they're facing right that time. So because of that only he just want to participate in that. So it is important for the reader to know that till about 1964 Dharampal ji merely had a lawman knowledge of archives and the record and material they generally held. His first acquisitions with the archival record on India begins at Chennai in Madras during 1964-1965, but expanded and dependence over the years. He discovered that most of the material dated from around 1700 AD owed its creation largely to British needs. Even when these archives held some Indian languages materials on paper on palm leaves, so the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the French, and various European Christians as well, the Common Institute, which began to come in India from mid 16th. So then he gone through the Chennai library, and he just found out different histories and all whatever written are there between 1964 to 1965, and then like he found that maximum are created largely by the British as per the British needs only. So because Britishers have ruled India, and then they have written all the aspects, they have changed all the literatures in English text and in on papers or palm leaves and all everywhere, so that Indians, once they will go through also their history, they will not be able to find out exactly how we are there in 18th centuries, and how we are there in mid 16th century around. So they have changed a lot of text, and almost every text they have tried to change in that time. Also mention similar archives related to their encountered with Indian, but these were smaller. All this British archival materials, some of which are present at the redundant to in the collective writings. Most dwells on certain aspect of India as seen, understood then by the British. The material also broadly within three areas. First, related to the description of India, its physical landscape, the manner of its people in certain region, their public life, the festivals, cultural life and institutions, the nature and extent of Indian agricultural and industrial production, and Indian science and technology. The second pertains to the continuing British-Indian encounter, especially from the around the British occupation of occurred in 1748 to about 1858, when the encounter is again visible from about 1875, and with his high and low spots continues till 1947, when India got divided into India and Pakistan, and British created institutions found and functions were taken over by their own governments. So this is the second part. Now third part, he has written that third begins with the unfolding of British design and policy pertaining to India in Britain. in 1618 and thereafter, and their visible implementation and imposition of India from around 1715. The origin of these design and policies remain mainly in Britain till the very end, while the implementation in India and the area governed in India named from China Sea in the east of Saint Celine in the west. So these all three different broadly divided this thing written are there, which he found it. Okay, and then based on that he has written further in that it would be helpful at this stage to know how this huge and very detailed artly recorded was indeed created for this purpose. A little background related to the governance of India during English colonial rule is absolutely necessary. It is conventionally doctrine that from 1600 to around 1748 the British East India Company, which we call EICO, established itself largely in the coastal town and cities of India, declared these places as port town and called them factories, etc., storehouses for trade, with the requisite military establishment from 1748. Then this East India Company is said to have gradually involved itself in the conquering of India until 1858 at least was considered to be solely responsible for the plunder and violence associated with the conquest. We are further told that it is only because the British were disturbed by the company's misrules which resulted in the Great Indian Mutiny in 1858 in 57 and 58. So these all he has given us information how it was there in 1600 to around 1748, how East India Company come to Indian coastal towns and cities, and then they have established their military part slowly, and slowly they are acquiring and of India till 1858, and then based on that then they have ruled our all peoples. They have killed lot of our freedom fighters, and a lot of peoples they have killed, and based on that then they are they conquered us, and then they have ruled us till 1947. So then he decided to establish a direct rule in India, and that the governance of India was placed under that courage of the British cabinet minister named the Secret of State of India, and arrangement that entailed continued till 1947. So we will discuss further in that and then he has written, it is true that British India Company was established in Britain through a grant of chapter in 1600, and then that it had adventurous and plugged in the rank, but according to the Dharampal, it never altogether functioned on its own. From the beginning, the company had the full support of British naval force in its expansion drive, and often of British state military force as well. Also, from the beginning, the British India Company contributed substantial sum in millions of pound sterling to the British government treasure, and also advanced amount on its own low interest to the British states. From time to time, it received directions from British states authorities, and at time certain of its affairs were placed under the charge of British naval commanders, who received their instructions directly from the British King or the British Admiralty. It is this direction and communications that comprises the earlier achievable records. So based on that particular East India Company, which they have came in India in around 1600, and then they are not just simply a small company. It's just it's like a big peoples of different this thing with their force in that, and different peoples are there in their force military, and based on their British government like orders, they are working out there in India to do step by step all aspects, like how to go in which city, how we can acquire that city, and all everything properly map wise they are planning, and with their force they are forcing the peoples to like forcefully get involved in their whatever aspects are there. So and whatever communications and directions are there which they are getting it from British governments, from there based on that they are just started acquiring it. So slowly like it took time for them to acquire it entire India. So but they have started this their work in earlier 1600 itself. So that he has written. So then further he has written that one such major case involving official supervisions was the final British encounters with Admiral Kanoji Angrage of Maharashtra around 1754. The British states felt he was a great challenge to British expansion and had to be somehow eliminated. So there would have been a score of such initiations between 1600 with the British India Company oriented and 1715 when it began to assume the role of conqueror and sovereigns. So first they will find out which state is having which like king out there who can easily like fulfill their demand based on some bribery or something, and some of them the kings and all they are not understanding, and they are not willing to work along with them, and they are not agree with their whatever aspects are there. Yes, that Britishers, and they are totally like annoyed with this their behavior and all. So they always like British always having angry on that particular kings, and they will plan. Then they will plan it very like slowly way, that how we can conquer, and how we can rule on that particular place, and how we can put down that king. So in that way they have worked out there. Then from 1750 onwards more and more institutions from the British were conveyed through various channels to British India Company. After the British dominance of Bengal from 1757 onwards, Robert Clive, Heaven born general, according to the Lord Chatham, virtually rule of British then, wrote to Britain that India could only be governed directly by the British states and not by any company. This and other similar advices was delivered upon for some years, leading to the regulating authority 1776-73, by which the British state appointed the Governor General and his council, and 11 years later to 1784 Act, which established a board of commissioners for the affair of India, with a president of 6 members, one of whom is the early stage was none other than the British Prime Minister. The commissioner then were made the rule of India. All institutions of any kind of any department of state of India or to its 3 presidencies were cleared by then in details. So like based on that particular Robert Clive work, what he done it in Bengal, then based on that they have tried to do their more better effort to get acquire this India, so that they can rule it for more years, so that they can loot Indian peoples for so many more years, so that let them like they will increase their wealth and decrease the wealth of the Indian peoples. So that's why they have made it a proper way of it. So they have made some kind of particular presidency, and they have made it separate kind of board of commissioners for the affair of India, and 6 members they have separately distinguished, and they have made it a particular team out there, so that they can rule and they can establish their whatever principles are there. So were finally the job of the country of the British India Company was to send these to India under the sign of their chairman and members. So then they have this full team assigned, and they have sent to India for doing and for acquiring the for entire Indian as their like slaves, or to rule on that particular Indian peoples. Okay, then besides, a separate channel of communication was opened between the presidency of board and commissioners and the British governor general in India. Okay, as also with the governor of the presidency, which at time even overrode certain formal instructions conveyed through the company. The instructions in certain departments were prepared by the board of commissioners themselves, and signature of chairman of the company obtained, and the late matter sent to the India from the board office itself. It is then arrangement which prolonged till 1858. The change in 1858 was in fact only a change in nomenclatures. The president of board was now the secretary of state of India. Okay, so they have just changed the nomenclatures, and then they have like whatever things they are doing earlier itself, they have continued it. Okay, so thus the this British India Company as much become wholly redundant in the ruling of India and area in its vicinity. Example from the China Sea to St. Helens from 1830 onwards, if not from much earlier. According to Dharampal, his clarification need to sink deep not only into Indian mind but into the mind of the world historical community too. So basically Dharampal, he want that exactly what is exactly happened that time. He want to give a proper view and truth to the peoples, and based on that only we can able to find out how Indian got conquered by this British India Company or East India Company, and then like how strategically they have worked in their all aspects, and from time to time they have changed their strategy to change their nomenclatures from president of the board, or they have made it to secretary of state of India. So they have turned the nomenclature so that the peoples will not be able to understand what exactly is happening and how it is happening. So that is the main case. Okay, now then thus details of such occurrence in India which came to the notice of British authority and had to be communicated at least till 1958 to London in order to obtain instructions or the approval of London on the individual issues. The British articles record therefore inform us on each and every such event. So this is the main based on that then they have changed the nomenclatures, and then they have communicated it in a different way so that the peoples will not be able to understand what exactly is happening all around. Okay, so if and then further he is written that so if one wanted, he have acknowledged in any detail of the society and left and life of India before British dominance, the obvious thing to do was to carefully pursue these British generated archives. Okay, so what are like because he want to know exactly what is happening in that particular time, so he want to get that particular archives which British like government has generated in that time for communication. Okay, so this Dharampal now did he did not have much of an income. There was also a family to support, but notwithstanding all this, he became a regular visitor of Indian Office and the British Museum. Photocopying required money, and oft-time old manuscripts could not be photocopied. So he copied them in the longhand, and page after page, million of words day by day after day. Thereafter, he found have the copied notes typed. Then he thus retrieved and accumulated thousands of pages of information from the arch record. Then he returned to India. He most prized possession was these notes, which filled several large trunks of suitcase. Okay, so he brought it from British libraries. So many documents, thousands of documents. He brought it either from written. He photocopied few of them, and because he's having not having that much of money, so he's just typewritten so many of informations, and lot of informations. First he just go there, he will read out all the things, then he home he will come and he will type with his typewriter. He's written all the things in his way, so that the exact information will not loss, and what he is acquiring it from the British library. Okay, and day by day it go on, it's keep on going on, and he has some so many of documents in his suitcase, and he brought it back to India. So it is not that order that not consulted, and these very records before doesn't had they missed the overall picture largely because they saw the material in fragments for the particular pieces. So first of all, whatever like informations we are having in our libraries out here in India, like Chennai, and one is there in like our Kolkata library also. So these are all libraries, but in that some fragments are missing. But whatever he brought it from British library, that is covering the all aspects without missing any important item in that, and everything he brought it properly with his own writings, and some of them are like photocopies also, and all information he brought it all together to India. So there will be more in this once we'll go to the reads, and till now this part we are overing it here. So next part we will see after bringing that all documents to India, how he has proceeded further, and then what else he has given information in his books. So that book text also I have just given to you in the down, and you can comment and you can ask if any other questions you are having in your mind. Okay, and then based on that we'll proceed further in our next part of it. Thank you, very good day.